All right, welcome to the first episode of Megan It Possible with Megan, and I'm Andy. And our very first guest, excited to have him with us here today, is Parker Brown. Parker, thanks for coming on and joining us here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, excited to get to know you a little bit better. Have loved listening to some of your music. Megan works at the office next door, and I wandered over here one day and it's like, you have got to listen to this. And gave me the CD, and I think I've practically worn it out.
Nice.
Yeah. So really fun to get to talk to you, and excited to learn some more about you. So let's just jump into things here. Megan has already said her heart is pulsing. She is a major Rabbit fan, so I don't even know if she's capable of speaking English right now. But we're excited. So the introduction here, we've got you. One of the terms that you use to describe yourself is like a Swiss Army knife of a musician.
Yeah,
I love that. Dive into that just a little bit more. Tell me what you mean by that, and I think it's pretty self-evident, but I want to hear from your words.
Well, I guess I feel like I'm not like, the most extraordinary at one thing, but I can do a lot of things well, and so that's kind of a Swiss Army knife. It's not like your chef's knife or your machete, but it'll get you out of a pickle if it needs to be.
Yeah. Now you're a Montana guy now, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. How long have you been in Montana?
Well, I was born here in Billings, and then my folks moved to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho when I was 8, and then I moved back here when I was 20, and then I've been here for, this is like the 20th year, I think.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Very fun.
I've never been to Montana.
It's great.
Have you been to Montana?
No, I haven't. I've been all over the place, but that whole territory of the U.S. is unexplored for me. I mean, it looks beautiful, and one of the things you call your sound is the Montana sound, and I mean we're a bunch of hillbillies around here out in East Tennessee, so we know what the Clampets sound like. We know
we got Nashville sound.
We got the Nashville sound.
Sound.
Tell me what Montana sound is.
Yeah,
I think that's a great question. I feel like that's really hard to explain. I feel like it's open. It's not trying to be anything but what it is. And what's cool is we can draw from so many influences, but we also have like a different pace. We're around the mountains and rivers, but we also have like blue collar work ethic and vibe around here. So it's industrial, and so it's like raw but emotional. It kind of encapsulates our surroundings, I think.
Yeah, in listening to your music, preparing for this, I was trying to think how I would describe that sound coming in, and it really it's difficult because it's so varied, but it's like it's all good.
That's the Swiss Army part of it.
Yeah. Because just when you think it's starting to head one direction, you get a big band influence, or you get that B3 organ coming in, and you're just like, oh my gosh, that is just beautiful, man.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's just like it's really raw and authentic. But I think what you said, the blue collar thing, one of the ways I was trying to describe it was like it's just hard working music. Like it's like somebody that works really hard but loves their job. Like such a cool sound.
I like that. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So here's one of Megan's burning questions that she has been dying to ask you. And so I'm just going to turn it over to her and you've got it in all caps on a little cheat sheet. So I'm just going to let her ask it.
Well, one of my absolute favorite songs is Hold On Sam. So we wanted to know, who is Sam?
Oh, I can't tell. It's one of my friends. I don't want to ruin the song for anybody, where it's like, it's better just to not know what the song's about.
Leave the mystery alive. Man.
Yeah.
We're just going to keep yelling.
Sam was okay. Oh, I don't know. I mean, Sam's probably not going to listen to this, but he was. Do you want to know like the meaning of why it's called Hold On Sam, or do you just want to know who Sam is?
Either one direction you can take it.
I think Sam is like a universal Sam, but it was in reference to I spent a lot of time in the like Christian world with, and I have a ton of friends in that world. And one night I was really wrestling with like the teachings of Jesus, like love everyone as you love yourself. And, you know, those, love one another as I've loved you. And these Christian friends of mine who I love dearly were like really bashing on, like homosexuality and stuff like that. And I kind of had this, and this was a long time ago, but I kind of just all of a sudden had that, like, I'd had enough. And so I went and wrote a song about it. Like,
Oh wow.
just the judgment and stuff like that. So
Yeah, the disconnect between words and behavior.
actions. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So it was like, hold on, Sam was like, hold on, Sam, which I really wanted to say in the moment. And I don't think I really did, but it was, that was the impetus for that.
That kind of makes me love that song even more.
I love that song. I don't know. That's like that one. I don't know. That's like Lakin's favorite song is "Hold On."
Nice.
Sam.
A lot of people like that song.
Well, I think too, it's like that thing. It's like the how long you hold your smile after you leave. You know, like that's a big thing I always think about too. Like, you know, you say "Have a great day," and then you're smiling, and then like people just immediately like, not smiling. You know, and we had to talk about that earlier. You know, it's like I think about that. I watch other people. I watch myself. You know, and then like I'm always just like, you know.
Once you think about it, you're kind of busted. Like you're like, "Hey, man," you're like, "Oh, jerk." Then you're like, "Oh,
yeah, no,
that's not cool."
It speaks to your authenticity too, especially, and this is the conversation we had earlier, in an age of social media, where you can watch people take the selfie and like they turn on the energy, turn on the smile, and as soon as the selfie's done, it's like, I hate my life. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
that's so I like that.
I think that's part of the reason why I go around town, you know, like my Funky Friday, and you know, it's like just making people smile, you know, and they're just like, that's what they expect.
Yeah, you've got some incredible lyrics, and that's
thank you.
Some of the magic of your music. And I know, just as a musician and a songwriter, that could be really difficult because you write some beautiful songs, but then the songs that people catch on to like have really stupid lyrics sometimes. But I listen to your music.
Not yours.
But I listen to your music and I'm like, man, this guy like has good music, but the lyrics are actually like meaningful stuff. It's not just words to fill up space, you know?
And
thank you.
They can fit in so many different things, you know, like the story you just told, but like, you know, it's like totally different in like how I feel with when I sing that song, you know, but it's like, I don't know, it's just like a universal kind of thing, you know?
I love that.
So we're gonna ask you some about some of the different lyrics. But the best part of living is knowing you're loved. Like that's one of those little gems that's in there.
Yes.
Like,
I use that one a lot.
Man, if that doesn't speak to your heart, like you need to go get something checked out.
Right? Yeah, I like that one. I used to not. I felt like bad singing that one live for a while, so I stopped because I was like, what if there's somebody out there that really doesn't have anyone that loves them? And then I like had this sort of epiphany that there's like all these like Rumi or God or Jesus or Buddha, or like there's all these spiritual people that speak of love all the time. So even if you might not have somebody in close contact with you, I feel like the universe, there's parts of everything that's happening that show love and love you. So
yeah,
and I think self-love, that's been a huge thing. That was like a huge part of my journey last year, you know.
For sure.
Yeah,
that's great. I love it.
Yeah, and it spoke to me, you know. So
awesome.
Yeah, so let's talk about the songwriting process a little bit.
Yes.
What usually, and I know there's not like a across the board, this is absolute, but what comes to you first? Is it lyrics? Is it the sound? What usually, where does the inspiration start?
It usually starts with a musical idea, I think, and then like also stuff that's going on in my head. I feel like maybe they coincide together, inspire each other. But I mainly start a song on guitar or some instrument, and then flush that idea out.
Okay.
With lyrics.
Yeah. So if you're sitting down in your living room or wherever you go to just kind of like chill out for a little bit, is the guitar probably what you grab? I don't imagine you sitting around with your tuba.
Yeah, no, it is. Guitar. There's guitars all over the place.
As you can see behind you.
Yeah.
That's one rack of them. There's like, and upstairs, my son Otis, who's 7, plays guitar too. So he has a little nylon string that's around. So there's always like something within reach to get inspiration from.
Yeah. I'll let you go through the list of instruments you play, but it's really fun. It kind of helps people understand your music a little better to know what instruments you're playing.
Cool. I played the electric and acoustic guitar, lead and slide and all that stuff. And then I'm just looking around my room, pedal steel, drums,
Pedal steel,
banjo, harmonica, electric bass, upright bass. That's probably about it, I think, from what I can think of.
Yeah.
That I could confidently say that I could play, but
yeah. Well, and some of the instrumentation on some of your tracks, you incorporate. I don't know if it's fair to call it a big band sound, but it has some of the brass instruments. Like you incorporate some cool things there. Where does that come from? Was it just a sound you liked, or was there a background there?
Yeah, so I was in this band called Tyler Burnett Band, and when I was in my 20s, it was like my first band that I tried to like make it with. We were like touring and doing the whole thing. And I heard this, and I was playing harmonica in that band a little bit. Like we were a blues band first, so I was playing harmonica and really into Paul Butterfield, and I listened to this Paul Butterfield live. It's like 1976 or something like that, and he has horns in the blues band, and it's just like raging. And ever since then, I always had that in the back of my head. I tried to get horns on, like I got one Tyler Burnett song, it had horns, but when I got older, and then I had a John Roberts, professor here and musician, orchestrate all those horns for the We Were Young album. So it was kind of like that dream finally got my horn section. And it was so fun to play with live, especially.
I was just you just get an adrenaline rush when they come in.
Yeah. Oh man, it feels so good.
Yeah. Oh, that is awesome.
That the Bad Math Band and Double Death Star. I sent that to Andy. Like when it just like all comes in, I was like, look at all these people together. It's just incredible sound.
That's and like all my influences then getting into jazz and stuff in the bands I was in, that was Alex Nauman's band, and Eric Olson wrote that tune, Double Death Star. That was a fun band.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned a couple of them. Who are some of your other idols?
Like number one go-to is this songwriter named Joe Henry. Just deep, has like a lot of jazz musicians on his album, so it's just really beautiful songwriting and thoughtful lyrics and stuff like that. Deep. Paul Simon, Bob Dylan. I mean, as far as songwriters go, like Grateful Dead, and I could just sit here and just rattle off names. I have so many influences. I grew up, my dad has a huge record collection. So he just would give me music to listen to, and I dive into that every night. So.
You played with your dad?
Yeah. Yeah. Quite a few times.
And he doesn't know about this.
No.
Yeah. Back in the Tyler Burnett band, we'd get hired to do these blues fests or whatever. And my dad would play with us in that band. He'd come from Coeur d'Alene. And then now my dad's moved here. And so we've done a few gigs together where my buddy Eric and I back my dad up, or my friend Phil will play. And yeah, my dad's out there rocking.
Dude, that is
Bobby.
Yeah. So tell me what's that like? And then also with your boys, because they're obviously a huge part of your life, family, and that sort of thing. So tell me how that plays into your music and just your experience performing. And
well, like playing with my dad's a trip, especially now that we're like all old, getting older, and he's getting old. He's got his little reading glasses on. He looks up at me, and so it's like a sweet little yeah, I spent so many years trying to impress my dad, and I still do. I'm like, oh, what'd you think of that, Dad? But you know, like it's just different. It's like a gift, like to play with him and to give him my musicality and to have his, bouncing off each other. And then with the kids, my son Ezra is getting to be like, he's 10 and just a slamming drummer, like really good. And so we've got to play, and he played we have a music camp that we do every year. And so he played in that, and then we played together, amp camp. Yeah. And my son Otis is starting to play, and he's writing songs and stuff like that. So
he has to sing.
Yeah, he's singing. Yeah.
Wow. That's got to be an incredible feeling, right?
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Wow.
I don't quite know what to do with it yet, but it's fun.
Like it says, part of the bleeding hearts,
Yeah.
He's going to be in there. So maybe Otis will be in there too.
That's right. Yeah. Get the whole family in there.
That'd be fun.
That is really cool. So, go ahead. You talk about Amp Camp. Go ahead. Like shameless plug. Go ahead and talk.
So Amp Camp is a camp that Alex Nauman and Matt Devitt, AM, and then Parker P made. It was like almost 10 years ago. It was just like a need for like a rock camp. There's a bunch of classical camps and there's some jazz camps that were happening in the area, but nothing for like kids, like our students, to just go and plug into. So it's just a week-long camp, and they learn how to play in an ensemble. We kind of put all the campers in there and get them in little bands, and then at the end of the week, they perform at a live venue, and it's always packed, like 300 people. And
Awesome.
So it kind of gives them like, oh, this is what music is, instead of just your private lesson, like sort of thing. But it's been successful. We usually have about 30 kids each year, trying to grow it. Yeah.
And you've had bands, some of them like make bands after, right?
Yeah. And that's something I do. Sometimes they make bands on their own, and then I've taken a few of my students and done a band for a couple of years. Like I'll put 4 or 5 of them together and mentor them and like arrange music for them and rehearse them at my house and just kind of try to get them into that. And so the last one is getting really good, but they don't need me anymore. So I just get to go watch them.
That's bittersweet right there.
It is.
Your job, though.
Yeah. So talk about you mentioned doing some arrangements for them. You wrote some blog posts on transcribing and some difficult work you did memorizing.
All your hard work, like years and years ago.
That blog. Yeah.
Blog. There's a lot of good stuff in there.
Jeez. Excuse me. Yeah, I have to work hard at music. I think that's kind of the thing, is like when you're young, you're talented and you can be like cool guy with the guitar, and but to really like keep going and persevering through music or any passion, I think you have to really, eventually the talent wears off and you gotta work at it. And so that's been my whole thing, is not being in a big city. I had to kind of learn a lot of stuff on my own. So I just studied, and especially with the transcribing and memorizing, that was like the biggest thing for me. And I'm still doing it. I still have to memorize and transcribe and make my students do it.
Yeah.
But
so talk about the difference between performance and theory and where those intersect. Because there's people that are fantastic performers, but they don't always understand what they're doing. And then there's incredible musicians that just freeze up when they're chosen to perform.
Yeah.
So talk about the importance of theory just for the musicians out there and getting a handle on that and the hard work of music in that sense.
No, that's cool. So theory, gosh, how could I explain it? Theory is kind of like the safety net or the catapult to help you understand what you're doing so you can do it over and over again, which seems like unmystical, but in a way it leads to like a whole new way of transcending the music, to just be in the moment and to create. And I always liken it to like a playground. Like if I'm playing with Eric, as soon as we start playing, it's like, okay, Tag, you're it. And we're like just running around. That's what a gig is. It's just like playing on a playground like we were kids again. And so when I was young, I'd always say, Dad, how do you do this? My dad's a really good guitar player, and he could never show me. He's like, I don't know. So I kind of made it my mission just to figure out, like, why do I do it? How can I do it over and over again the same way? And not that I've perfected it by any means, but that was kind of what got me into theory, and that helped me a lot to be able to communicate ideas and things and write what was in my heart and stuff like that. So it all kind of builds on each other. So I feel like theory is important, but some people don't need it, either. So it's kind of hard to say.
Yeah. There's kind of this illusion of the singer-songwriter that you find your quiet spot, kick back with your guitar and a cup of coffee or whatever, and the music just happens. And obviously,
that doesn't happen.
Obviously, that does sometimes, right? Like those are the golden moments. But
yeah,
I love what you're talking about here with the hard work of music, where you're like, I've got to start, but I don't know where to go from here.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm always praying. I'm in a songwriter challenge with a bunch of people, Megan, that you would know. Gregory Bogard and I set it up. And there's like 23 people from around the country that are friends of ours. And every week I'm like, I hope it comes easy, because you got to write one song a week for a year.
Wow.
Yeah. And we're like 8 weeks in now. And so,
whoa.
Yeah. And it's always like, can it just get that lightning in a bottle? And it never comes. You always have to work on it harder than you think you do to get it done. So yeah,
I feel like I could be a writer, because I definitely write a lot, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And I love music, but I don't know about like putting the two together. For me, as a layperson, I mean, you guys are like, fancy musicians, and you like know all these technical things again, but I know it's because you've been studying and doing, and I've been doing other things, but clearly.
Well, I think just listening to your music, that's part of the beautiful thing about it, because anybody can sit down and do a second grade rhyme, right? But your songs have such substance and say they're
looking at you, Andy.
Oh
my God on you.
All right, I got you. But yeah, like how does that process work for you, where you've got the idea and you're like, now I've got to tell this, but not just say it, but in a compelling way and capture the emotion? Like, what thoughts are going through your head, whether it's the songwriting challenge or you're just, for fun, or I got to crank something out. Like, it's been a while. I'm just in modes and I just got to crank something out now.
I think that for me, I always try to, there's always those, where you want to rhyme everything and make it easy. But for me, it's like, and I'm inspired by some of my other friends that do this too, like Ryan Kayberry. He goes under the moniker of Known by Name, but just always trying to get that next little word through that might not be as obvious or something, and that kind of is fun. It almost turns into like a little game that you're playing with yourself, and sort of. I learned this in a creative writing class in college, like, give your listener the benefit of the doubt, like make it more challenging for them, because they are more with it than a lot of people think, like, and those are the people I want to connect with anyway, because that's kind of how I am. So it all kind of plays off of each other. I'm like having a bunch of realizations here explaining this, but like,
no, that's great.
Right, that's how
so yeah, that's kind of the deal, is like, that's what I want to hear. So I try to push myself to maybe make it a little more, not as obvious or easy for the listener.
So can you tell us about Running from the Wild? Can you do that?
Oh yeah. So
I've been waiting for this story.
Oh, for the story. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Story time.
So I've always had I always felt like I have like two selves, and I know we all do. We all have like kind of a shadow self or whatever, and like we like to keep like secrets and stuff. We're like raised to like not. At least I was to kind of like keep appearances or whatever. And so a lot of my 30s were like coming to terms with that. Like especially when I first moved to Billings, I was involved in a lot of churches, and so I always got a lot of students. Even though I left that world, everybody was like, "Oh, he's a good Christian guy. He's got," not that I was a bad non-Christian guy, but
Yeah.
like it's always felt like I had like people didn't really know me. Anyway, long story short, our dear friend Brad Edwards, who was in the Bad Math Band, the drummer, he's just legendary drummer, and I grew up. He played with my dad, and he played with a bunch of legends. He passed away in like 2018, or I think. And so we, he played with us young guys a bunch. And so we went out and, drank at all he drank a lot. So we went and tried to have every Brad drink everywhere, this group of us. And, I was the one that went to his house and like talked to the cops and tried to get into his house when they found that he was dead. So when I was there, I saw his drums in his car. So we're out all night. Eric and I are driving home. Of course, I shouldn't have been driving, but it was one of those nights. And it's a straight shot. Anyway, so here it is, running from the wild. I'm just being honest. And so we stopped by Brad's house on the way home, and we're like, we got to save Brad's drums. And so we broke into his car and stole his drums out of his car, and then hid him in Eric's garage. And then the next day I woke up at like 7:00, like, oh no, did we do that? We really did that. And so then had to like call his family and like pay for the window and everything. It was all good. But that was like the first time that I was like, you know what? And that's part of the line in there, like breaking out windows to get some relief. Like that's just a little homage to Brad. And like, not being ashamed of that. That's part of who I am. I do crazy stuff sometimes that I'm not always proud of, but it comes from a good place, I think. And so that was kind of the thing to my kids is like not be ashamed of what you're doing. Like instead of carrying it as shame and guilt and embarrassment, like be like, hey, that's the kind of stuff that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Again, just the authenticity shines through. Like that is what a hardcore set. Like, yeah, it really is.
Oh, cool. That's nice.
Yeah. Because that who you are obviously affects your music, and that's communicated whether it's with words or not. Like you can feel that sort of journey listening to your music.
Nice.
Of just coming into your own. And one of the things that we've got written down here was your pregame routine before you go on stage.
If I have one? Yes. It's usually to hide from people. But it depends what I'm doing. Like if we were on, Satsang tour, we started doing, Gregory was doing them, but we were trying to get up to Gregory, but like 100 push-ups or 100 pull-ups a day.
Get out of here, man.
Yeah.
Wait.
So we were rocking pull-ups before the gigs.
Hold your instruments and
Greg's like,
hey, you need a shirt over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Now my pregame, it's like I play so much that I don't really have a pregame ritual, but it is usually to like chill and like mentally visualize like the set and what I'm doing. Because I get a little anxious before a gig, so I just got to chill out a little bit. Yeah. Nothing fancy.
One of the things that, like, looking into you a little bit that kept coming up, and I thought this was really cool, was food kept coming up. And
really?
Yeah. So I wanted to hear you talk about food from a couple different standpoints.
Okay.
Several different angles. But one, and Megan wrote this out on our little script here, but it's just like, evidently healthy eating, you're intentionally eating healthy as a singer, and as a
Sometimes.
performer, right?
Yeah.
Not on the road, maybe, but
Well, excuse me. That's the shadow self. I try to be as healthy as possible, but I love potatoes in all forms, especially chips and yeah, fried potato, anything au gratin potatoes. If it's got potatoes in it, I'm gonna eat way too much of it. So,
cheddar.
yeah.
Yeah, we had cheddar rounds this morning.
Oh yeah.
All right. So in that same vein with food, you evidently are a fairly talented chef, right?
So when I was young, so I ran. My friend's dad owned a restaurant, and I backed out of this parking space when I was like 15 and didn't see a car behind me. Hit the car, had to go inside, and it was a worker at the restaurant.
Okay.
And I didn't have any money to pay for the car, so my friend's dad was like, "Well, you could wash dishes here," and that started like me being in the restaurant industry until I was like 23 as a cook. I did aspire to be a chef. Was going to go to culinary school, but ended up staying in Billings, and then choosing music over that. I had it's another story, but that was the thing. I was an aspiring restaurant worker in my youth, and
yeah, well, and that was the whole Chef Darren thing. That was, and I maybe should have.
Oh yeah,
is if that's something you're comfortable talking about, I'd love to hear a little more insight into that conversation, how you chose what path you were going to take, and just speak, I guess with that, speak to folks that are like, should I make music like a big part of my future, or is it something I just dabble in? Like, I want to hear from your perspective how that worked.
Man, that's a tough one to answer, and really great question. I appreciate all the thought that y'all put into these questions, because it's really fun for me. So the Darren thing was again a struggle, because I had, I'll try to make this short, but in Coeur d'Alene, I was 19, and we had it was this really fancy restaurant, and I had a stage downstairs. And one night after work, I went down and sat in with this band. I was like 18 or 19, and I was like, had this moment, and I was like, told the chef, I was like, you know what? I think I need to pursue music, even though I was accepted to this culinary school, but I think I'm going to move to Billings and kind of figure things out. And so I quit that job because of this experience I had on stage, but had to work when I came to Billings. So I got a job the old fashioned way, mailed my resume, blah, 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 and got a job here at a nice restaurant called Enzo, where Darren was the chef. And so I was kind of like trying to be a good restaurant worker, which takes a lot of work, and then be a musician, which took a lot of work. And then one day he just like knew, and he was like, man, you can't do both. You have to choose. And what are you going to choose? And I kind of was like, I have to choose music, and ever since then it all just like chilled. Then there was like less expectations, I think, from them and myself in the restaurant world, and I could just like freely kind of pursue music. So it was like a huge moment that Darren was able to access, even though he was a tough chef on me. But so yeah, beautiful guy,
you learn the best lessons,
Yeah, he was in tune.
Are good lessons.
Yeah, I seem to get a lot of hard lessons.
Me too.
So I got a good lessons.
Awesome. So what, with that, staying in that same vein, like, it doesn't matter how much you love what you do. At some point, you're always like, man, why am I doing this? Why didn't I do that other route? What keeps you inspired, and what keeps you excited about music, and provides new inspiration for you?
I think that what keeps me inspired is to connect with myself and then others who are out there. I struggle with this a lot just because it's hard, but that inspires me to create. I think there's something in me that needs to come out, and there's people out there that I can connect with, and that like really feeds me, my soul and creativity in a few different ways. And um so that's part of that. And I also forgot on that last question if people should continue to do something, especially like music. And I always struggle even with my students because it is really hard. There's like no clear cut path. You just have to keep if you want to be a musician, you've got to be really working hard in a lot of different ways, or in one way, you know, it's not easy. And I've never seen it be easy for anyone. So it's hard for me to say like, come on guys, like do this, but I wish more people would.
You know, passion for it.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what the difference might be too. You know, it's whatever you're passionate about is what you're going to just continue on, no matter how many times you might fall. You're going to keep getting up and keep going, you know?
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, then find something else, because there's so many different rabbit holes and so many different things you could be doing. And, you know.
Yeah, that's good advice. And it is, I think, you find what you're passionate about. Because like I even tried to work at a music store just for fun a couple months ago to help out. And it was like, I can't do this. I can't do a job anymore. I have to just do like music. Like even if it's a cool job, like a music store. But,
yes.
I don't know. Yeah.
So this is getting a little bit more like into you as a person, but you know, as the musician, you describe yourself as the Swiss Army knife, and your music has the Montana sound. What is your identity as a person? I mean, your family's important, husband, dad, all of those things. What is your identity as a person, and how do you want to be seen as an individual, even, you know, not more than just music?
It's a great question, Andy.
It is great.
Thank you, Megan.
I do a lot of reading on trying not to identify with anything. But
Yeah.
but you know, like I've been thinking about that a lot, and I think that my identity is probably just to be consistent, and be like you've been saying, Megan, that Ram Dass thing, like I am loving awareness, like trying to be like, I don't know, whatever it is that I'm supposed to be, but like in love, in the world. Yeah, and being here now and being present, which I fail at a lot, like especially with kids, and
Oh
I
man,
have
yeah.
short temper sometimes, and but I'm learning, hopefully. But that's kind of the thing, is like just to be who I was created to be, whatever that is. But that's like each day, like striving towards finding that, and authentic, you know, be my authentic self.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. What another one of those, like, feel like I'm not trying to be your therapist here, but what scares you the most as a musician and a performer and a songwriter? What fear, what really just terrifies you?
Well, it's a constant fear, and I owe a lot of it to not the fear, but helping me. Actually, like there's a few people in my life. My biggest fear that haunts me is that people don't like me. You know, people don't understand my stuff. They like other people better. They don't get me. I'm not going to have an audience, or I don't. And so I'm like really insecure about that for some reason. But I've had like, what's that?
It's human.
Yeah, I guess, but it's almost crippling at times. And that's why, like some of my albums took so long to come out, those last two that I just released. But you know, great people like Megan has been like really amazing, like helping me like love my own music, and like huge gift that you've given me, and I appreciate that. My son Otis is like my biggest fan, so he's like listens to my stuff and sings my songs, and then my friend Eric is like a reality check to kind of and my counselor. But Eric is like, dude, what are you doing? You're you know, have these really deep talks that help out a lot, to kind of like overcome those fears, and I think it's helped.
And he makes you laugh.
Yeah, he
I've never
does.
actually met Eric, but he always makes me laugh anytime
He's
I've seen
he's
a
the best.
video.
Yeah,
He's funny.
he's great.
Your finest furry little friend.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Larry.
that's the fear. That's so trying to get over. It's like
yeah, well, because there's a sense. I mean, because you're marketing yourself, and there's a sense of your music and your albums being almost like a popularity contest, and that's a really bad trap to fall into, but so easy.
Yeah.
And so, what advice would you give to aspiring singers, songwriters, artists as you're working your way through that? Like it sounds like it's very much in process, and that's a cool thing to hear you just call out for what it is.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that it is just to create for yourself, and then the people will follow, even if it's one. And that's like the mantra, and has been for a while. It's like, even if there's one person, there's still one person. Like, that's incredible. Like, and I've been fortunate to like have really successful shows, and I still can't get it through my head, but just keep creating for yourself. And that's what I'm getting at. Like with myself is, you made it. If you don't love it, what the, what the heck?
Yeah. All right. So let's, again, a little bit of a transition, but let's talk about what are some of the favorite songs, your favorite songs that you've written?
Oh, that's fun. Let's see.
So when you're just like cruising down Billings and you got your windows down and you got your favorite Parker Brown CD in, what are we doing? What are we listening to?
When I put my Parker Brown CD in, I'm gonna have to look at my music, because I think that I really loved Prodigal Son a lot. That one meant a lot to me. The process of like what that song means to me. And then Just a Dream is a big one, for me. And I really love those, and like what Will Honaker did to help produce those, and his playing on those. And then Running from the Wild and Time Stand Still, like being able to play live with those musicians. The thing that Bill Honaker does on the drums on Time Stand Still is like, I'll listen to that every day and just be like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. And his son is playing bass, and it's just all so good. Those are some of my favorites, new songs. And then like I always love Summer Day, with the horns and just the emotional feel of that song, and Eric's playing on it, and Keller's drumming. And People Watching, that's probably one of my favorite ones too.
That's your favorite, isn't
Yeah,
it? People Watching. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love that one.
Nice, thank you.
Another Man's Blues is another one. My son
yeah.
requests that on the way to school every morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we blast that in the car on the way to school. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that one's a ripper. I like that one.
Yeah.
I love the live version of that too. And I think I love the live version so much because it's just like, well, like you're there.
Yeah.
Like you all just like, it's like the extended version, and oh my gosh, I love it. But the CD's only so many songs, so then you have to have like a YouTube playlist to listen to the rest of them. And then there's sad songs.
Oh yeah.
The song that I love from 11
That's
years
amazing.
ago.
I know. Some of my first songs.
Love it.
It's so good. Have you heard some of the songs? Have I sent you side?
Yeah.
Well, you're going to today.
Gotta get educated, I guess. Here.
Blast from the past.
I don't know. I love it. I listen to it regularly.
I'll have to relearn it and maybe record it so that you have it. Yeah.
Please, I would love.
Oh my gosh.
We'll even have you back on.
I love that.
I love it. All right, way to go. That was clever. You did our marketing. All right, there you go. So Megan has some questions that folks have submitted, and you did some swag that we get to give away. So
fun.
bunch of these questions, they're just random. Like we've read through them to make sure they're going to be good
Andy
questions.
has not.
Appropriate.
They were given to me.
Yeah,
so
I'm
I know
trusting
what they
Megan
say.
on this one, so we'll see how that goes.
Appropriate.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like we looked through to make sure they were nothing like weird, right? Too weird.
I mean, I
Lightning round.
Hang on for the ride, man. Here we go. So, I'm shuffling them up. Going to be drawn at random.
Oh, okay. So this first one. Oh, let's get the box. Okay. All right. Winner of a Parker Brown sticker.
Ooh.
This is the one that's on my car. This is the one everybody sees. So if you want one,
Awesome.
just like me. All right. I'll let you pick.
All
Then
right,
it's
let's see what we got here. I'll let you read the question because I've done way too much talking on this episode. So
but it's perfect.
there we go.
This one, first one is Jennifer Gillum.
Okay.
She says, "What moment did it hit you that you wanted to be an artist?"
Wow. Well, kind of already talked about that with like the moments that happened, but one of the first memories was just being with my dad and like going on the road with him and his bands and just seeing that lifestyle and hearing music and having it affect me. I think it was just always a part of my life that I would do that, like create, even though I tried to get away from it at times in my life. But that, yeah, I think just it was built into me.
Run from what's meant for you.
Yeah, I like that.
All right.
Oh, wait. And the winner of
Another sticker.
another sticker, all right, is Joseph Greenwell.
Long question. This is a big question. I don't know what the question is asking, but it's got the whole dang note card.
If you ever meet Joseph, you'll understand.
Okay.
He likes questions. Okay. When you are composing music, do you take into consideration the effect the words are having or will have on your audience? Or is that something that naturally pours out of you from spirit?
Oh, nice question. I think both. I think it kind of like what we talked about earlier. Like it just, they both influence each other, and then I try to just let whatever needs to come out come out. But it is lyrics are influenced by the music. The music is influenced by the lyrics.
Beautiful. All right.
Okay. Another sticker.
We've got quite a few stickers here. This is going to be fun. All right. Oh, this is concise.
This is from Joan Conant. Was there a certain incident that inspired your interest in music? I guess is that your dad?
Yeah, I think my dad and his friends. Yeah, Ron Schuster, Brad Edwards, Bob Brown.
All right. We got a few more stickers to give away here. Parker Brown stickers. Next one up.
Oh. Well, apparently we're just such good interviewers that
More questions.
Already covered it.
yeah, we all have the same questions.
Nice. Okay.
You know?
Well, hey,
Imagine that.
give him a sticker.
You're getting a sticker, Court. All right. So this is for Court Freeman. What is your inspiration and what draws you to write? Oh, and that's
Sticker.
the one. Okay. All right. Oh, here's another Joseph question. He doesn't get another sticker. However,
Joseph's got a lot of questions.
Joseph,
I like it.
You're doing good, my man.
if you could if you could go back, is there anything you would do different in planning for the future of the band or your own personal walking life?
Whoa.
If you can be a time traveler, is there
I would have
anything you
been-
do different? Or
Those
not?
questions are hard. I think I just would have been. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything I could have done differently. I would have wished I would have done things differently. Invested differently or worked on it when I was harder, younger. But all these things just led me to where I am now. So, yeah, I don't know if there's anything I could have done.
Such a healthy answer. Such a good answer.
Okay. Oh, Jennifer, this is another question from See,
Jennifer and Joseph
Yeah,
monopolized the
Jennifer
show.
and Joseph.
You got some
Okay.
super fans out there.
All right. What was the fastest song to write and connect with?
I think the song Plane was one of the faster ones that came out.
Nice. I had that song on my mind this morning because I woke up at
Oh.
3:33 and I was still awake at 4
4
o'clock
o'clock.
in the morning.
I think of that song every time I wake up at 4 now for years.
Here.
Okay. So now we're going to move on up and we're going to do a sticker and
The
mixtape. Nice.
Which I gotta say, just your album artwork is super cool. Like,
Oh, thank you.
that's cool stuff. The turtle wearing the suit, like that's
Oh, yeah.
just genius. So, who does your artwork for you?
So the turtle wearing the suit is Lewis Habak. He's on a bunch of social media, I think, at least Instagram for sure. He does these pictures of people, and so I was like, man, I want that. I want to be a turtle, and I want it to look like that's like a suit that I used to wear. And so, like, yeah, it just all came together. It was
That's
super
so
cool.
fun.
That's
So
awesome.
fun.
I also want to say I love the concept of this mixtape because, like, first time I listened to it, it starts off and you're like, it's like the tape,
Yeah.
and like I turned my volume up and I was like, did I miss something? And then so I was like, okay. So then went through the whole thing, and then obviously mixtape, love that song, and I was like, mixtape.
Secret and the secret song. You got to have a secret song on your
Yeah.
mixtape.
Brilliant.
Okay, so the CD and sticker goes to Jaden Blair. Oh, she's 11.
Awesome.
She is absolutely incredible, and she's actually she's part of the reason why I started this kids photography club.
Oh, cool.
Because I'm
Awesome.
learning, so we're all going to learn together, and
Way to go,
how
Jaden.
how we're guided.
Fun.
So, question from Jaden, which
Hey. That's all right.
Jaden wants to know, why did you want to be a musician? So,
Jaden, I had to be a musician.
So good.
okay.
All right.
All right.
Last sticker and CD here.
All right. So we'll do this. And if I could make time stand still. Oh,
This is a great one. We didn't have
Oh, clearly.
Is this your question, Megan?
No, I thought I put one in. I really did. I was like, should I put one in and just say
I was
Megan
so
Monroe had a
surprised we
question?
didn't like.
I like how y'all read my mind because I totally did. Totally thought about it.
I didn't think of that. Was his idea.
Okay, so this is my cousin, Jenny Wallace. Woo, woo. That's why I was doing all that. How did you get your name?
Oh, so the legend has it that I can't get a straight answer, but I think partly they just liked it. Like Parker means keeper of the parks. I don't know if my folks like parks. I think they did. But then my dad said, like, Charlie Parker and other artists with the name Parker. And then my middle name is Burnett, named after T-Bone Burnett, the producer and musician, and also Chester Burnett, who is Howlin' Wolf, the great blues artist. So it's a name
It's meant to be, man.
wrought with inspiration.
All right, and the big giveaway here. We've got one more item.
Okay, we got.
We'll end with this here. All right, for this one,
Okay.
I'm gonna shuffle. I'm gonna let
You
pick.
shuffle.
I'm gonna let you pick.
Sorry, I just yelled.
And it has to be somebody new. Has to be somebody new. Which one are you feeling? Oh, nice.
Oh, perfect. Well, the winner is Lakin Monroe.
Oh, wow.
Nice. Not planned.
Okay. So Lakin's question, he wrote this out in his own writing. I want you to see.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Sweet. Okay, so he says
And how old's Lakin?
Lakin is 7.
7.
He's not going to be able to fit into that shirt, though.
I know. Well, maybe we'll draw for another. Yeah.
I'll send him I can send him a smaller one.
His other ones, they came down, but he's like, okay. He says, do you play My Singing Monsters? If you don't, you should play it since you sing and you make sick beats. And the monsters do too. And he gave you his friend code.
Okay. How do send that code to me and I'll look at this. My Singing Monsters. I don't know what it is.
So it's an app. It's a game. He got me into it because that's what he does.
My Singing Monsters.
But it's cute. You buy these little monsters and they each make different beats. And so when you put them all together, you're making music. Nice. And you have little islands. And it's a whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Not paid advertisement for monsters.
Not sponsors of this show.
Okay, so just so we know who the shirt goes to.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, I didn't even. Oh.
Do we know who that is?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
From Adam Monroe, question: Stones or Beatles?
Oh, brutal. I think it has to be Beatles. And that's I love the Stones. Exile on Main Street's one of my favorite albums, but the Beatles just always I was just listening to Paul McCartney this week because of Carl Roth, and it just made me love the Beatles even more.
All right.
So yeah.
Settled.
Beautiful. All right. So we're gonna wrap this up here. We promised we'd keep it in an hour.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was just going to end with, where can people find you? Like, where can they get more information, listen to your stuff? Go ahead and give us the websites, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever.
So I think you can get to everything from my website at pbrownsound.com. I'm on Instagram at pword, and that's usually where I connect, but I connect my YouTube to my website, and so you can go there. I don't know what my YouTube address is, but I am on YouTube, just Parker Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and you can also do Parker Brown chips, pedals and chips.
Will that come up?
Parker Brown chips, and then all those videos come up. If you've not seen any of those.
Yeah, I've done my best at trying to be a video person this year, like vlogging for Satsang and making pedals and chips videos. But
I love those videos, but I think that's what also watching all your videos is what helped me know what to send in your care package.
Oh yeah, that care package was amazing. I just ran out of that Buff City soaps.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I ended up taking that home. Like
Nice.
we didn't use it all, so I took it home, and now I buy that stuff. Amanda just got me a big box of it for Christmas.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
I smell really good right now.
Same smell, or you got new smell?
They were out of that soap, so I had to get new smells. But I got bar soap too. They make bar soap.
Yeah.
It's
Good
awesome.
smell.
Yeah.
We got in our house too.
Very cool. Parker, man, thanks for joining us. Thanks for making this a great first episode. Really fun.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
man, we're just grateful to you and excited to hear what else you put out there. Keep being brave.
Cool. Thank you so much. It was a great time. Yeah. Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thank you.